Welcome to Catnip. I'm your host, Kat, and this show explores food and culture while highlighting local LA restaurants. I come from a multicultural background. My father is Jewish and my mother's Chinese. Food was at the center of our family and our experiences. Some of my favorite memories are trying new foods with friends and family. I really hope to encourage others to try different cuisines while helping out local restaurant owners. You can learn a lot about another culture through their food, and there's a lot to explore. My guest today is Pamela Price. She is a journalist, award show producer, vice president of LATF USA, and executive producer of Hollywood Beauty Awards. You can also see her obstacle racing skills on the TV shows American Ninja Warrior and Wipeout. So this is calamansi?
Yeah, so we love calamansi. It's a cross between a kumquat and a lime. It's like a little baby. Looks like a little baby clementine.
It's very like a tropical taste almost.
Is it? Yeah, I think it has some honey in there too.
Yeah.
It's definitely it's the go-to drink. Like when my dad comes here, he loves that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on Catnip.
Thank you for having me, Catnip.
Yes, Pam and I went to school together, and we went to school in New York, and now we're out here in LA.
In the Big Apple. Yeah. From the East Coast to the West Coast.
Oh wow, that's a big statement.
Yeah, it might be. But you know what? You can't compare the two. I always say you can't compare New York and Los Angeles because they're just two different worlds.
They both still have very good food, though. I will say we went from one good place with food to another good place of food.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I feel very lucky that at least that's
the two best foodie cities.
Yes,
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
We are here at LA Rose Cafe, which is a Filipino restaurant, and we're going to talk to Lem, the owner, a little bit later, and talk about the history of the place. But how did you find this place?
You know, my sister, Diana Aquino Mendoza Price, she changed her name to put Mendoza, the Filipino maiden name, so that people were like, yes, you're Filipino. She introduced me to it. So my parents came to visit, and we all had a big gathering here. And that's when I met Lem. Lem is like, he just becomes your family member right away. Nice. And when you come here, like, be prepared to sit down and have at least one course with Lem, because he's a part of the place. It's not LA Rose Cafe without Lem, and it's not Lem without LA Rose Cafe.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's also my very first time at a restaurant since COVID, so
Welcome.
I'm very excited.
The world is opening up for you.
Yes, I'm very, very excited. So I was so excited to taste this food with you. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about your cultural background?
Yeah, I mean, you know, to be honest with you, I think I really started learning about Filipino food later on in life. You know, I'm 34 years old now, and in growing up, I really grew up with the Jewish culture, because you and I are both, obviously,
Asian Jews.
Hapas. Can we say Hapa? Yeah. Hapa, Jewish, Chinese, Filipino. And so, you know, I grew up knowing the comfort food of Jewish culture, so matzo ball soup and stuffed derma,
so good.
Knish, what have you.
Regala.
Yeah, but I always remembered my grandma Gloria and my late grandpa Conrad, my Lolo and my Lola. Grandpa Conrad would always he would be rolling his egg rolls and frying things. He'd always have the rice maker on 24 hours a day. If you wanted a bowl of rice at 4 a.m. in the morning, you just go down.
Which honestly I do.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like sticky, like sushi kind of, sushi rice. But I think my first dish that I was introduced to was chicken adobo, which is really the family style. It's easy to make.
How would you explain the spices to someone maybe that hadn't ever gotten it?
Filipino food it's not too spicy, so it's not like you can't compare it to Thai food or anything else. It's comfort. We love vinegar, right? So literally if you buy like a picnic, that picnic pack of chicken, and then you get a big thing of like white rice vinegar and soy sauce and like some bay leaves, you put it in and you just keep on adding this. Like, I don't even measure anymore. I just put it in and I let it sit there forever, and it just soaks in tender into the chicken.
That's awesome.
And then you get the rice, you pour it on, and it's just perfect. Yeah. So that's one of my favorite, definitely. And,
awesome.
and something that I think every Filipino girl, it's the first thing they eat.
Who in your family maybe helped you understand or taught you how to cook this cuisine?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a good cook, and I can throw things in a pot. That's what I always say. And I
hey.
can turn the oven on. But my sister, definitely, my sister took great pride in being, and takes great pride in being an Asian woman. She went to school for Asian American Studies. She worked for APIFN, Asian Pacific Forward Islander Movement, something like that. And so she really said, you need to know about this, and introducing me to pancit and ensaimada, which I ate the little rolls when I was a child, Food makes up who we are, right?
I definitely feel that way. I definitely feel that food and culture go hand in hand. I definitely feel like I am who I am because of the food that I've been exposed to, and also that I'm curious about more foods because I had such different tastes growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And that comes from both of my cultures, right?
Yeah.
So for the Jewish cuisine and the Chinese cuisine, and my parents were very exploratory, and so we would go and have Indian food on the weekends or Thai food, or we were very an adventurous family when it came to food.
Same.
And so great.
Yeah, it was like after, if you were fasting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it was, whether it was Passover, Yom Kippur, it didn't matter. Like after any high holy day, it was like, let's go get Indian food. Let's go get dim sum.
Nice.
And so I feel like very similar.
Childhood.
The way the way that we grew up, and we were open to all of these different foodie cultures. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're right. So you said your first dish that you kind of were introduced to was chicken adobo.
Yeah.
But is there a favorite dish that like you crave?
Definitely the buchan. Did I just say that right? Yeah.
We're learning.
We're learning.
Buchan.
I'm learning as we go along.
Right, which is what? It's a pork
So that's,
dish?
it's pork belly, crispy. I mean, you don't even need the pork, like you just want the skin. It's like the same when you're at Popeyes. You're like, I don't need the chicken, just give me the fried stuff. So that is a delicious dish. And then the ensaimada, the buns, which are sweet. Sometimes bakeries will put even like cheese. I think I had cheese in it, like as a child. But
So it's like a Danish
cheese.
almost.
It's like that, yeah.
Does it kind
Some
of
people
cheese
put
or
pineapples
pineapple
in, and it would come in this big. My grandma, my Lola Gloria, she would go get them. She still does in Virginia. She'd get these like just lineup of rolls, and they're so sticky, and you just sugar
That sounds
melting.
amazing.
And there's pancit, which is wonderful, and then my favorite soup, which is sinigang.
And we ordered a bunch of those,
Yes,
so
we did.
I'm
We
very
ordered
excited.
all of that.
So we talked about this a little bit, but what role did food have in your family? Like, was it always a big deal to sit with the family and eat, or were you guys kind of rushing around, or both?
Yeah, I think I always say to my parents now that they're 3,000 miles away, especially with COVID, I say, if I could just have like one dinner with you, dinner out, because we ate out a lot. I didn't grow up really with a ton of home cooking, I mean, I remember like my dad would bring, or my mom would bring home the chicken from the grocery store and like heat up the macaroni and the mashed potatoes and stuff like that. We put it on the table. But being together and breaking bread together and just, we would always do appetizer, entree, dessert, hostess, devil dogs that you can't get on the West Coast, you go to the East Coast. So, is the most important thing is to sit around and eat with my family.
Yeah.
And now I can have a good glass of wine.
I really felt like it's about connection.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
I think food really connects people. I think it puts them at ease, but also can be really curious about what's on the table and I don't know, for me especially, like we're a big sharing family, so it's very much like, what did you have?
I'm not a big sharer. You know what? No, don't touch my plate. I remember my Lola Gloria would come and visit us in Maine, because that's where I was raised, and we would have lobster.
Okay,
there you
sure.
could just
Yeah,
you
of
get
course.
lobster at the McDonald's, and you just lay out the table and you put a bunch of newspaper down, and we just crack. And nobody would really talk to each other for a while, because you just like crack all the lobster shells and everybody just be like this. But then afterwards, you can just sit around with a full belly and laugh and catch up on your day. You know? I don't know I hope we're not losing that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it will come back. I think it'll just come back slowly.
Yeah.
Is there an importance of cultural pride in your food?
Absolutely. And you mean in the food that I cook, or the food that?
I think when you have Filipino food, when you have Jewish food, when you have food that is connected to your culture, do you feel cultural pride?
Yeah.
Either when you're eating it or when you're presenting it or sharing it with someone?
Yeah.
Like, can you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and that goes back to the chicken adobo, right? It's
Sure.
Like, for me, that's a community dish. And so I have two best friends that live in the floor below me, and I'll invite them up, and I'm proud to say I cook chicken adobo. It's a Filipino dish. I'm a Filipino woman. I take great pride in sharing Filipino food with my coach, Justin Newcomb, who's Filipino, and a lot of my teammates on a team that I run with, they're primarily of Asian culture, Asian background. And I think it's really only in the past like 4 years that I've been like, yes, I am an Asian woman, Asian American woman, and here's what I have to offer.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of love and comfort.
Yes, for sure. I'm just speaking totally of myself, but there was a time that I felt like I needed to be more white than Asian, or try to be more, And I feel like it is just within the last couple of years that I really have felt such pride, and just also the community, I think, also has been really wonderful. I think of lifting up Asian people and Asian voices, and I think just us not feeling like so alone or so in the background.
Well, I think it's different. It's for us, like, right? We're two women that grew up Jewish, half Asian. It was like, well, what do we identify as?
Yeah.
Right? I can say that I grew up. I probably identified as a white woman for a long time, because that was the culture I was raised in, and and obviously that's all changed now,
Yeah.
But with everything, I asked my sister recently, I think a year ago, I said, am I a woman of color? I mean, it was a question I had.
Yeah.
And she
like
said,
a genuine
absolutely.
question.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. It's like a fraction of ignorance on my level, and I can admit that I can be ignorant when it comes to my Asian heritage. But I mean, that's why we got people like Lem in this place.
Yeah, definitely.
To teach us.
Yeah. And I think there's a difference, right? There's a difference between being ignorant and closed, or ignorant and open.
Correct.
Right? And I feel like both of us are very like, we especially even being in our 30s, we're very open to learn something new every day, and to like learn about our heritage and learn about different parts of being an Asian woman.
Yeah.
The idea when you were younger and you weren't as connected maybe to your Asian side, was there a time that you just wanted like American food? Like just like burgers and fries or anything stereotypical, either to fit in or just,
oh, good question.
I don't know, like either to fit in, or whether it was just a palate thing where you were like, everyone's eating this and this is what I want to eat. Because I definitely feel I had a moment, like probably in like middle school, where I very much wanted American food, and now all I want is Chinese food. Truly, like all I want right now, like whenever I'm like sick or I'm sad or depressed, like I just want Asian food. It makes me feel so good.
It's comfort food,
But there was a time that wasn't true, and so I was just wondering.
I don't think I thought about it. Like it wasn't like an active thought. It was. I mean, listen, I can eat like 5 Big Macs in like an hour, if not 30 minutes. But and that's like good old American cheeseburger or a hot dog. I love a hot dog. I don't think I on purpose was like, this. I think I just, again, that goes back to to ignorance of just not knowing what's out there. And when my sister does introduce me to new, different types of Asian food, and she sees maybe my facial reaction or something like that, she's a little critical, and she's like, really, you haven't had that yet? Or like if I pronounce something wrong, and I'll say like, ube versus ubi, and Coach Justin, he looks at me and he's like, you're the worst Filipino. But now I definitely, like you, go towards Asian food. I mean, I eat a ton of Korean soup, so
oh my gosh,
I'm just like a bowl of Korean soup.
That's awesome.
Oh, the lumpia.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. How are you? It's so good to see you.
Yeah, I remember you.
Yeah. It's okay. Give me a hug. Come on, I can give you a hug.
Okay. Okay.
So excited. Yes, thank you so much.
So this is the lumpia. which is
what, like egg rolls?
It's like an egg roll. This is what my grandfather would make. I mean, he would have the entire countertop just covered. And he, my grandpa, my Lolo didn't speak English very well throughout most of his life in America. But he knew he spoke in cooking. His language was food for sure.
I love that.
And so, he would just feed and feed and feed. So,
Okay.
so cheers. COVID cheers in the air.
Yes.
You can dip it in if you like. I think that might be a hot sauce. I don't know. Okay.
Wow.
That's good.
So good.
That's like goodness right there.
How do you think this is different than other Asian egg rolls?
I think that it's particularly fried. I mean, in a way that it's like a sleek fry. It's not too oily.
Yes.
So that, it's not overwhelming on the outside. Inside, you can taste absolutely everything.
It's really crunchy.
Yeah. And I mean, you can taste everything. And a little bit of the spice, too,
And it's very, because I feel like other egg rolls, right, are like a huge appetizer, like even just one. Right.
You remember the big ones?
Yeah.
You remember the big ones?
Especially I feel like in New York.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen an egg roll like that. They were like little guinea pigs. They were like the size of
It's really true.
And you were like, I don't know if I can make my way to the middle of it because it's just all the outside,
Yeah, these are very poppable.
Yeah, like a spring roll kind of thing.
Yeah. Whereas, like we said, like the New York egg rolls, I was like, I could maybe have one of those in a soup. And
Right. Exactly.
And be done.
So this is,
oh gosh.
Oh, here, I'll bring it to you. This is the pancit. Delicious noodles.
I mean, that's incredible. It has egg. It has shrimp.
You can have it. You can have this with like pork. You can have it with fish, and obviously.
Okay, which one are you doing first? Are we doing soup first or noodle first?
I guess we should. We'll try a little bit of the soup. Yeah.
Oh wow, there's so much in here.
It's got tomato kind of taste to it, and but it's not. It's a little bit tangy. You can taste like my mom can make this, and my sister always would request it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think I even knew that it was called sinigang until like 31 years old.
I love how tangy. What is the tanginess? Do we know?
I want to say it has tomato, but there's a very specific spice that you have to have. And we'll have to ask Lem when he gets here.
It's so good.
It's so good, right? I haven't had this in like 2 years or a year.
Oh, it's so good, Lem. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What makes this so tangy?
Tamarind
That's it.
Tamarind.
and lemon.
Yep.
So good.
I think one more, no? The buchon.
Oh yes. Yeah, bouchon.
And then here
And then
you
yeah,
try
sure.
a
Do we
little
want to do a little bit of this?
Yeah,
Here.
a little bit of the pancit.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to like ruin it. Okay. I'll do some egg. All right. And then here, I can serve you.
Thank you. Oh yes.
Give you an egg. Yeah.
So delicious.
Maybe a shrimp.
I'll take a shrimp. I love shrimp. I wanna know what you think.
Okay.
Pancit has always had like a bacon smoked.
Oh yeah. It's really
You know.
smoky.
It's pork rind,
Yeah.
and it has
Pork
smoked,
rind.
Fish.
Smoked
Pork
fish.
rind and smoked fish.
Yes.
Ooh.
And of course the shrimp.
What kind of smoked fish?
What kind of fish?
Yeah.
Tin mackerel.
Ah.
Very
It's so
flavorful.
good.
And then
So pork rind and smoked mackerel.
we take shrimp meat and we grind it up and saute it with pork. That's what makes the sauce.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to make this.
Oh my gosh, it's
The
so
shrimp
good.
on top is just for add-on.
It's a little decor.
It's so good.
We put it on when we're serving VIPs.
Oh.
Yeah, Look at you.
It's delicious.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Come back when
back.
when I can interview you.
So okay, thoughts?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. The idea of what I'm eating is fish and pork, right? Right?
Some people's worst nightmare.
Honestly, I hear you, but it's so
In
good.
this case,
It's so good. I love the smokiness of it.
And it's not too heavy, right?
No.
You could eat the whole, I mean, I'll eat the whole thing, and you know.
When again, right, there's something about noodle dishes that I'm like, oh,
I can come back an hour later.
Buchon.
Bouchon.
And here is the
I'm gonna
bouchon.
put- here.
So this is the bouchon. This is a pork belly.
We have 2 sauces, the spicy vinegar and the liver sauce.
I think you got some.
Oh, I'm eating. I'm saving it last. I'm saving it
Ah,
last.
you want it? You want some? He's the best. He's literally
the
the best. You know, he's sort of. I feel like he's like my grandpa is in Lem now. That's it. And then that, if you want, we can split one up. So if you want to get that on you eating it on camera, is that what you want?
Sure. Yeah. Whatever's gonna be easiest. I don't even know how to cut one of these.
Yeah, you sort of want to use our hands. But here we go. Right there, we're gonna move it around
Okay.
like that.
Oh, do we hear this? Do we hear this?
Did you hear that?
this
That was the
this
crack of the crispy belly, pork belly. It's delicious. Boom. Okay, try a little bit of that.
Okay.
And then
Len
tell
said
me that-
to try the skin first. I'm not gonna be.
And then tell me that your soul is lifted up into nirvana.
Okay, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat it like a cracker, cause
Yeah, you know what? Use your hands.
I'm doing it, guys.
Filipinos love to use our hands. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah. You'll never eat a Dorito again. You know what I mean? Wow.
That's incredible.
That's the crunch you want. Yeah.
This is incredible.
Like,
So this is it's pork belly.
yep, pork belly.
Wow, I love all the different flavors. I love that there's this kind of like home cook tasting of this like fatty, yummy pork.
Yep.
And then there's this such interesting smokiness flavor coming from the pancit.
Yep.
And then there's a tanginess
Yeah.
in the soup that actually is very refreshing.
Yeah, you have a
When
little
you're
bit of
eating.
everything. Can you imagine, like, if you had a cold and then you have a cup of the Sinigang?
Oh.
It's gone.
It's
So
gone.
we
It's
put
gone.
we put Zycam out of business. Yeah, and then if it's a rainy day, you got your pancit, and
And so, if somebody was coming to a Filipino restaurant for the very first time,
Yeah.
and they were kind of intimidated about what to try, what would you suggest would be their first dish?
I feel like a lot of time, like especially like maybe American culture and whatnot, people get intimidated by the ingredients, right? It's like if you say chicken feet, they're like, eh.
Right.
So it's best to not tell them what's inside. I would say, even if you're a vegan, come on over. Pancit is definitely the go-to.
The go-to.
Always the go-to. The lumpia for sure. I mean, you can't go wrong with these two dishes.
Yeah, and like you said, the pancit can be made with many different things.
It can, yeah. I mean, this is like your general. This is definitely your, your traditional pancit. But yeah, and then you can get anything on it
On
if
top,
you
like
want.
for
Yeah,
toppings.
on top,
Yeah.
They also have good rice dishes and whatnot. But yeah, an oxtail.
Oh yeah, I've never tried that before.
Yeah.
Next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
Bone marrow, all the good stuff.
And so when you're eating this, I mean, I'm having an experience eating this. But when you're eating it, are you transported to like your childhood or to certain times with your family?
I think definitely. I think of all my aunties. They're all in Virginia now. Because a lot of people that came from the Philippines. They were in the Navy. My Lolo was in the Navy. He was a captain, and that's where he met Gloria, my Lola, and they were still in Virginia, and that's where all my aunties are, near the base. You have a huge Filipino community there, so this definitely reminds me of them for sure. All
so
the
great.
aunties.
Oh, thank you so much for introducing me to this food.
Thank you for. I won't be sharing.
Yeah.
But
But you were serving, and that's all yours, I understand. And I've really learned a lot about Filipino's cuisine. I'm excited to honestly learn more and try more. I really think that the spices and the and not meaning like spicy spices, but just like the flavors are so intense.
Yeah.
And really, this soup is giving me life.
It's giving you life. It's going to give her life right now.
Truly, it's
And,
really good. There's just something about the tanginess of the tamarind, right?
Yeah, the tamarind. So I'll say also salamat, which is thank you. in Tagalog. That's what we speak, the Filipinos speak.
Awesome.
And yeah, thanks for having me.
This was the best. Lem has been so kind here at LA Rose Cafe. If you are in LA, please come see Lem. Go to LA Rose Cafe. I believe he also does a lot of takeout with DoorDash and Postmates.
He does catering.
And so, oh yes, he
Yeah.
does catering for events that hopefully will come back with COVID. Hopefully in the rearview mirror. There's also a really adorable dog here.
Yes. And if you eat too much, Hollywood Presbyterian is right across the street, and they'll pump your stomach.
Oh my God.
You can edit that out.
I mean, but yes, so yes, please. This is such a huge time in our community to support
Right.
local restaurants, especially. And so try a new cuisine, try some Filipino food. Come down to LA Rose Cafe or try a takeout order. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Cheers, bon appetit. Eh?
So this is Lem.
Hello.
Hello, this is the owner of LA Rose Cafe. Thank you
Hi.
so much for letting us be here.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about the history. You opened when? When did you open this amazing
We
establishment?
opened 39 and a half years ago.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Really?
And we're still open during the
Yes.
pandemic. Yeah.
And have you felt like you've been able to really have a community here within the last 39 years?
Yes. In fact, when pandemic came into the picture, we totally had a lot of support from our leaders in the community.
That's so awesome.
And a little bit from the city, a little bit from the federal. And I just wish it would continue and this pandemic thing would just go away.
I know.
And we bring things back to normal. But let's be realistic. I don't think it's gonna happen real soon. So we're just trying our best to keep it going and
Of course.
still enjoying ourselves
Yes.
and serving good food.
And part of this show is to really make sure that we're supporting LA local restaurants because I
Thank you.
really believe that we should be doing it all the time, but especially now. And so, especially during this time, how can people most help you right now? Can they do you just
Come
be
and
coming-
visit us.
Come and visit. And do you
or
also
pick up
do
the
takeout?
phone and yes, we do takeout with Postmates, DoorDash, or they can come and pick it up. That's the most cost-effective way. They don't have to spend for the delivery and the service charges that they have. So we would really appreciate any help and
Yeah.
any.
And they can get desserts too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Get the
Talk about-
desserts when they come in and pick up.
Yes, and so let's talk about the food. So what are some popular dishes?
The Cebu lechon is one of our biggest seller. The tocino, those are pork dishes. We have the chicken in asal, which is basically a barbecued chicken, but it's the flavorings that we put in it. Like we have lemongrass, garlic, a little bit of lime and lemon in it, and it's marinated, char grilled, and served with the sauce.
Yum.
Oh,
Ugh.
and everything that you put butter on gets better.
Yes, I completely agree with that. Amazing. And then what are some desserts that you would suggest?
Our buko pandan is very popular. The halo halo is very popular. What else? A lot of desserts. Food for the gods, which is a date and walnut.
Oh.
The cassava cake, the ube cake, the yema cake, the ensaimadas.
Well, what are those?
That's the.
It's
what I was talking
a
about.
Oh, yeah.
Ensaymada.
Ensaymada is a brioche with a buttercream topping and finished off with grated cheese.
Wow.
Yeah, and normally they use the aged Edam cheese.
Oh.
Yeah. Filipinos love it. And then we also have different flavors like ube on the brioche. We have Nutella. We have, what else do we have? Chocolate.
Amazing.
Yeah, anyway.
Ube ice cream. Don't forget the
Ube ice cream.
Yes, so good.
Yes.
Amazing. And then have you always been interested in cooking and food, and has it been in your family?
Well, when I was in college, I went, like everybody else, they had part-time work in restaurants,
Yes.
mostly. And a lot of my classmates, and I went to Indiana, so that's very Midwest. and all my friends were working in either McDonald's or Burger King, you know. And I said, I'm not gonna be flipping burgers. So I really strive to look for a place that would give me some kind of learning into the trade. And I happened to come across a supper club in the middle of nowhere. And it was called Brunetti's. It was an Italian supper club. And we had live entertainment from Tuesday to Sunday. And it's not local joke kind of entertainment. They were flown in from Vegas.
Wow.
I know. But I leave it up to your mind to think of why are there Las Vegas show in the middle of Indiana in an Italian restaurant.
My goodness.
Anyway, but I learned a lot from.
So when did you come to LA?
When I graduated, Sheraton Hotels offered me a job as food and beverage manager. And after 1 year with them as food and beverage in Louisiana, I decided to move on to LA because I've always wanted to come to LA except for that job offer that they gave me. And you know, when you're just graduating and a position like the number 2 man of the hotel, of a Sheraton hotel. And
deal.
back in the 70s, Sheraton was like one of the top hotels in the world. So I decided to move to LA.
And then how many years after?
Do you really want to know
Just
all
how many
this?
years, just really quickly, just how many years after,
Okay.
how many years after moving here did you then establish this place around?
Six years.
Wow.
But those 6 years were one of the best career opportunities I came across.
That's incredible.
I became food and beverage director of Philippine Airlines. I became overall night manager of Manila Hotel, which is a 5-star grand old hotel in the Philippines. General MacArthur lived there, a lot of people, real famous. And when we opened it in 1976, it's gonna be long. And when we opened it in 1976, who were our first guests?
Who?
Francis Coppola.
Oh, wow.
They came to film Apocalypse Now. Yeah.
Wow.
And they lived there for 6 months.
Well, I love all your history and your passion for your food. And just
So my
thank you.
exposure was very,
Yes.
very. When I was with Philippine Airlines, I overlooked 14 kitchens all over the world.
That's incredible.
Italy, Rome, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Sydney, Singapore, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Hawaii, San Francisco.
Wow.
14 restaurants. I mean, 14
incredible.
caterers. So the exposure with all these different chefs, you kind of pick up, you know, a few things.
Thank you so much for having us here. Thank you for introducing me to your amazing food. Please, everyone, come and support, try a new cuisine, try some amazing Filipino food. And I'm just so excited that I got to meet you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, very soon.
Ciao,
Yes.
ciao.
Thank you.